Hello, everybody. My name is Jaden West, and this is going to be my persuasive speech for COM 225. My topic today will be about cannabis. Cannabis is one of the most controversial topics in today's society. For years, it has been unaccepted by almost everybody in the United States, but up to recent years, science and medicine have actually found out how beneficial and useful it can be if used properly in a medicinal way. Cannabis and its components have been around since the dawn of time. It is upon us on how we decide to use it and what we decide to use it for. I believe that cannabis should be legalized in all 50 states. It can be a huge help to certain individuals who struggle with depression, anxiety, other illnesses, and other disabilities, but it must be used properly. It's just like anything in life. You need to be able to use it within moderation. You need to be able to use it responsibly. And that's the same thing with cannabis. It has to be used in a medical way. So marijuana, also known as cannabis or pot, has a long history of human use. Most ancient cultures did not grow the plant to get high, but as a herbal medicine. It was started in Asia around 500 BC. The history of cannabis cultivation in America dates to the early colonists who grew hemp for textiles and ropes. So I personally feel like I can speak pretty freely about this topic because I'm a regular cannabis user. It has helped me with many neurological and mental problems in my life. I do have Tourette syndrome. I also have ADHD and ADD, anxiety, and all that. So I ended up getting off of antidepressants and medications a couple years back, and I started dabbling in cannabis, actually recommended by my parents, and it has helped me tremendously since. So I've continued to use it, and it's just really helped and changed my life for the good. So my main points in this speech will be the benefits of cannabis, the misconceptions, the problems with in society with cannabis, the evolution, and where we are today with cannabis. I will be answering no questions today, unfortunately. I had a plan on having my girlfriend be my audience today. Unfortunately, she is sick, and my brother is out of town, and so are my parents, and all of my friends live in Tempe. So unfortunately, I will not have an audience today, but I will be actually asking myself a question that I would probably have a couple years back and answering it in present time. So I feel as though everybody listening to my speech will benefit from this speech I'm gonna give. Even if you are not an advocate for cannabis or an advocate cannabis consumer, you will learn a couple more positives about the drugs that was just legalized in our state. As everybody knows, it was just legalized. If you're 21 and older, you can just walk into the dispensary without a card and get cannabis. Excuse me. So one reason and problem for accepting my proposal is the fact that people see cannabis as an old school mindset. It's kind of like that if you smoke, you're a no-life bum and you have nothing going for you type mentality. Over the years, that mentality has kind of started to diminish, which is great. People also have a hard time accepting my proposal because of the health problems you can receive from inhaling smoke inside of your lungs. They also have a hard time accepting my proposal because of the effects it can have on a young, undeveloped brain, which is very true. Personally, my plan is I am going to be advocating for the benefits for cannabis and why people should do more research about the topic and instead of checking out mentally right away. I'm advocating for the mental and physical health benefits from cannabis if used the right way. And I am also advocating for the usage of THC cannabis to be used around the nation as a medicinal substance for healing and health benefits. So the plan will meet the need, in fact, because there are hundreds of chemical compounds in cannabis, many which are cannabinoids. Cannabinoids have been linked to providing relief for chronic pain due to the chemical makeup, which is why cannabis byproducts such as medical cannabis is commonly used for chronic pain relief. Typical cannabis users are not in fact overweight. They are relatively skinny or in shape. I'm a perfect example of this. I'm about 6'1", 175 pounds. I work out consistently and I'm very active, so I'm living proof. So that's because cannabis is linked to aiding your body in regulating insulin while managing caloric intake efficiently. Depression is widespread without most people even knowing they have it. The compounds of cannabis can help stabilize moods, which can ease the depression and anxiety. That's why More now than ever, doctors are starting to prescribe doses of cannabis to patients in a medicinal way. Smoking smoked smoked cannabis has also helped intake in HIV patients and cancer patients undergoing chemo treatment. I actually knew a lady who was undergoing chemo treatment a couple years back, and her husband would give her THC drops before she would go in. She would get an appetite and she would feel a lot more relaxed. Without it, she didn't have an appetite. Her anxiety was bad, so it helped her out through her chemo. Studies have also shown that people who took cannabis extracts in clinical trials tended to need less pain medication because cannabis was their medication. Living proof again. I am an example of that. I got off of pain medication and other types of medication, and I've just been sticking to cannabis. Scientists have also reported that THC and other cannabinoids, such as CBD, slow growth and/or cause death in specific types of cancer cells growing in lab dishes. Cannabis is a better medicine than opioids. Opioids can be harmful to your body, your mind, and it can damage you. And it can make you addicted over time, ultimately resulting in an opioid addiction. An avid cannabis user does not receive the same repercussions as an opioid user does. In a study, the total of 1,248, which is 46%, respondents reported using cannabis as a substitute for prescription drugs. The most common classes of drugs substituted were narcotics and opioids, 35.8%. And according to the Health Center for Behavioral Health Statistics and Quality, the past month use of cannabis has risen steadily each year in the general population from 5.8 in 2007 to 8.4 in 2014. And in 2015, an estimated 22.2 million of 265 million Americans aged 12 years reported having used cannabis in the past month. So it is growing tremendously. Many people will say that inhaling cannabis into your lungs frequently can give you breathing problems, which it can. But if we are comparing the polluted air we breathe on a daily basis, it does not have that much of a difference. And in fact, if that is a problem for you, there are ways to substitute it, edibles or droplets. So if you don't want to smoke it, that's fine. You can do the droplets or the edibles. So a question that I would probably have, like I said, I don't have an audience with me today, unfortunately. But a question that I would have probably had a couple years back is, how can you use it responsibly and medicinally? And I would just say, if you know that you're going to use it for something that will help you over time, I feel like that you will be able to find a way to use it responsibly. It's all mental. You just have to make sure you're responsible with it and you're not getting too crazy with it. So today I discussed with you all today some pros and cons regarding cannabis. Cannabis has been a very controversial topic for years in the US, but thanks to science and evolution, humans are starting to realize if used properly and medicinally, it works wonders for people. Some of the main points I discussed with you all today were the depression involving cannabis, anxiety involving cannabis, the way it is used for cancer patients, the statistics, the usage of cannabis from 2013 to 2021, and the differences between cannabis and opioids. If you have ever thought about becoming an advocate for cannabis or a consumer of cannabis, just make sure you do your research first. That is the best option for you. It reacts to everybody differently, so make sure that you do it in the correct way. You talk to your doctor, you talk to your professional, and just know your limits before partaking. So going back to my original hook, cannabis is one of the most controversial topics today in 2021 still sometimes. For years, it has been unaccepted by almost everyone in the United States, but up until recent years, science and medicine have found out how beneficial and useful it can be if used properly. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your busy days to listen to my persuasive speech. It is much appreciated. I hope you all learned a little bit more about the topic of cannabis, and I hope you gained something from my speach. I appreciate it, guys. Stay safe.